I'm Ayman Shihadeh. I'm a Senior Humanities Research Fellow at New York University, Abu Dhabi. I'm normally based at the School of Oriental and African Studies at the University of London, where I'm a reader in Arabic intellectual history. And my current project here at the university focuses on the interaction between philosophy and theology in the late 11th century. In the Islamic world, of course. It's part of a long-term project of mine. And the long-term project explores the interaction between philosophy and theology in the 12th century, starting with Al-Ghazali, who's one of the most important thinkers in Islamic history, who lived around the turn of the 12th century, and ending with Fakhruddin al-Razi, who lived around the turn of the 13th century. So I've been working on this larger project for several years. My current project here at NYU focuses on the beginnings of this interaction in the late 11th century. It focuses specifically on Al-Ghazali and his teacher, Al-Juwayni. And I'm looking at how theologians became interested in philosophy and started to engage with philosophical sources. So that's so it was a natural trajectory of my larger project. The goal of the project is to understand these developments historically. Islamic thought developed in certain ways in the pre-modern period. This interaction between philosophy and theology is one of the most important phases in the history of Islamic thought. So my goal in this project is to understand how this interaction came about, and I want to arrive at a historical interaction. And it's very important that we develop such a historical understanding of pre-modern Islamic history, because a lot of people often tend to forget that ideas develop historically. So there are, I would say, two main challenges that face people in my line of work. The first is to find the time to do such a project. This is, I would say, a fairly large, I would say medium-sized project. It will take me around a year of full-time work to complete it. And I wouldn't normally be able to undertake and to complete this project without this fellowship. So the main challenge is to actually have the time to do the work. And the second challenge is the availability of sources. I use a lot of manuscript sources in my research. I think they're essential for this sort of work. I've made quite a few discoveries through manuscript research. The challenge is access to manuscript and also print sources. It's much easier to access both manuscript and print sources. Here, I've been able to visit manuscript libraries in the region. The UAE has centers and libraries that have very significant collections of manuscript reproductions. The Sheikh Zayed Mosque, for instance, the library of the Sheikh Zayed Mosque has a collection of manuscript reproductions. The Jamal Majid Center in Dubai has a huge collection of manuscript reproductions, and there's also the newly established Islamic Manuscript House in Sharjah, which also has a collection of manuscripts. So even here in the UAE, there are extremely valuable sources for my work. And it's been great to have easy access to these collections. But I can also access manuscript libraries elsewhere beyond the UAE, in Egypt, in Turkey, and India, for instance. These would be a bit more difficult for me to access them from London. So, but also print resources are easier to access. I've been able to visit book fairs, for instance, both the Sharjah Book Fair and the Cairo Book Fair, where I found print resources that I wouldn't be able to access normally. And it's also good to interact with colleagues, both here at New York University, elsewhere in the UAE, and elsewhere in the region. Again, this is a great opportunity for me to be able to interact with colleagues whom I wouldn't normally meet being in London. The fellowship is an excellent opportunity for me to, first of all, to focus on this project and to complete it. It gives me the time, it gives me access to sources, it's also an opportunity for me to interact with colleagues. I have colleagues here at NYU who work in areas that are related to mine, and I'm able to discuss my own work with them and to hear about their work, which is often relevant to my interests. I'm able to establish long-term relations with colleagues and links, and I'm currently organizing a large conference with a colleague here at NYU. So again, this will be on an area that's closely related to my current project, and it will involve a large number of specialists from international universities and from NYU. And it will be an excellent opportunity to expand on my current project and to interact with colleagues.